Hello, my dear students. Exams are near. I know you're feeling the tension, but don't worry, Beta. We will make this chapter super simple for you. Okay, let's dive into this interesting chapter about Gemini Studios, written by Asaka Mitran. It's a really funny and insightful look into what went on behind the scenes at one of India's biggest film studios.
So, our story takes place at Gemini Studios in Chennai. It was a huge deal back in the day. And our little tour of this place starts in a very, very interesting room. Now, the chapter gets its funny name from this, Pancake makeup. You see, Pancake was the brand of makeup they used, and they bought it in truckloads. Seriously, it was used on almost everyone, from the most famous actresses to the junior artists in the crowd.
And can you imagine where they put on this makeup? In a room with giant lights that made it incredibly hot. The author calls it a fiery misery for the actors, and looking at this, I'm sure you can see why.
You know, what was amazing was that this department was a perfect example of national integration. You had a Bengali, then a Maharashtrian as the head, and assistants from all over India. It was like a mini India right there in the makeup room. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to meet two very important and completely opposite characters who worked at the studio. So, the crucial point here is the contrast. On one side, you have the jealous, frustrated office boy, and on the other, you have the talented, ever-helpful, and cheerful Kotamangalam Subbu. Now, this is a very, very common question in the exam, my dears, so pay close attention to this part.
Just remember these simple points. He felt his talent was being wasted. He was stuck in a small job painting crowds, and who did he blame for all of this? He blamed Subbu for everything. Simple.
Now, Gemini Studios wasn't just about films, you know? It was also a home for poets and writers. They were all part of something called the story department. And this quote right here, it brilliantly illustrates the strangest member of the story department, who was, of all things, a lawyer. Here's another very important exam question. Why was this lawyer so different from everyone else? Let's take a look. So he was the opposite for a few big reasons. First, while all the poets were simple khadi, he showed up in pants, a tie, and a coat. He was also a man of cold logic, while everyone else was a creative dreamer. And he once did a really terrible thing. He secretly recorded a talented actress during an angry outburst and played it back, completely ruining her career. A total opposite, right? Okay, now for the mystery part of the chapter. One day, a visitor came all the way from England, and for the longest time, nobody at the studio had any idea why he was there. Everyone was so confused. I mean, an English poet? In a studio that makes Tamil films for simple people. It made absolutely no sense.
His whole visit was a total flop. Why? Well, because no one could understand his accent, or what on earth he was talking about. So his visit remained a complete mystery for years and years.
But years later, our author, Asaka Mitran, finally figured it out. And you won't believe how. He figured it out through a book he bought from a roadside seller for just 50 paise.
And this is the aha moment. The visitor was a poet named Stephen Spender. And it turns out the boss of Gemini Studios, Mr. S.S. Vasan, was strongly anti-communist. He didn't invite Spender for his poetry, he invited him for his anti-communist views. Mystery solved.
All right, children, we are almost at the end. Let's quickly revise the most important points for your exam. Ready?
It's easy. If you just remember these three things, the 3 Ps, people, place, and politics, you can answer any question from this chapter. So think about that. A funny story about makeup and movies can teach us so much about big things, like dreams, jealousy, and even politics. All the best for your exams, my dear students. You will all do wonderfully.